the rhyme of the ancient mariner, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So the first question come to the mind, like the rhyme of the ancient mariner. What is it? Right. And why the title is given the rhyme of the ancient mariner. Right. So if you look into it, the title, the rhyme of the ancient mariner, is highly appropriate and also significant for several reasons. Right. Let's talk about the first one is called as a use of the word rhyme. So the word rhyme in the title is nothing but an archaic. Archaic means what? Old spelling, right? Old
Okay.
spelling of what? Rhyme. Rhyme. Rhyme.
Yes,
So,
sir. But it is written RIME.
but it is written Rime. So Rhyme, rhyme, suggesting that the poem is a ballad, right? Poem is a ballad. Ballad means we understand a narrative poem mean to be recited or sung. Recited or sung means you can practice that, right? So this connection with the poem's structure, which uses a rhythmic and rhyming pattern typical of traditional beliefs, right? Rhyme also refers to what? Rime, rhyme also refers to frost or ice, which is symbolic in the poem. If you have read the poem, you find out that rhyme refers to what? Frost or ice, which is symbolic in the poem. So
Okay.
the mariner's journey takes him to the icy waters of the South Pole, and this dual meaning means the first meaning is called as RHYME, rhyme. Second one is called as a rhyme meaning is nothing but a frost or ice, symbolic. So this dual meaning reinforces the cold and harsh experiences, cold and harsh or bad experiences the mariner undergoes, isn't it? So that is why the first word rhyme is justified. Second, the poem rhyme, right, or called as a means frost or ice, symbolic in the poem of the ancient mariner. So the poem focuses on the what? Ancient mariner. The title, the rhyme of the ancient mariner, emphasizes what? The main character, right? So when it focuses to ancient mariner. So it says that the ancient mariner around whom the entire story revolves or moves around. So
Yes.
he is the, you can say that storyteller, and
Yes.
he is the central figure. He is the
Yes.
storyteller, and you can say that the central figure whose actions and uh, consequences from the core of the poem. Action means what he did and whatever he did. So, what was the outcome of that? Right? So, the the word or the adjective ancient suggests what? What do you mean by ancient suggest? The word ancient suggests wisdom. The ancient suggests nothing but experience and a sense of timelessness and a sense of timelessness, right? That hint. So what do you understand? Wisdom, ancient means called as a knowledge, experience, and a sense of timelessness hint that the mariner's story carries a universal moral lesson, So that called as a wisdom, timelessness, experience. And the mariner's story carries a nothing but a universal moral lesson that transcends him or that goes beyond him or goes beyond with the time, right? So now we understood that rhyme. Now we understood that ancient manner. So that is why the title justified the rhyme of ancient mariner. So the next thing it's called as a, it is a story of supernatural elements. When we talk about supernatural elements, so it means it makes us believe that something which is not been practically present. Not only it produces or it presents the supernatural elements, it also provides moral lessons. So the poem is a rhyme or narrative of an old sailor who remembered his experiences, that involved supernatural events,
Okay.
right? So in which you also find out not only supernatural events, but also guilt, suffering, uh, penance, and redemption, right? Redemption means called as ultimately you uh, think of it. The title, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, that sets or begins the expectation for a story that mixes reality with the mystical, which is, clearly what the poem tries to deliver, right?
Okay.
Now, the another thing also you would find out is known as an invitation to moral reflection. The title, The Ancient Mariner or Rime of the Ancient Mariner, also implies that the mariner's story is not just a personal recount, right? But a kind of a cautionary story. Cautionary means what? Now, it gives warning, right?
Okay.
Warning with broader implications. What is that broader implications? Now, it encourages reader to remember on themes such as respect for nature, right? So, the consequences of thoughtless actions. So, first is called as a respect for nature. Second is known as the consequences of thoughtless action. And the third is the need or the support of spiritual redemption, right? So free from the, a burden, any kind of a burden.
So,
Isn't it?
what are the three things? Second one is we should not act carelessly, and the third one is the redemption of the
Spiritual redemption.
spiritual redemption. Okay, yeah. First one is respect towards nature.
Respect for nature. Second is
Okay.
called as consequences of thoughtless action. And third one is called as the necessity for spiritual redemption. Okay. Now, if I move to the, so this is why, or that is the reason why we call the title of the poem is justified. Now, let's move to the poet who wrote this poem. So if you
Right.
talk, poet whose name is called as Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Now, Samuel Taylor Coleridge was a famous English poet, literary critics, a literary critic. He was a philosopher and a founder of the Romantic movement in England.
Okay. Yeah.
His Romantic movement in England. He is considered one of the most important poets of his time. Beside that, or alongside his close friend and his collaborator. So, who are the or who is his close friend? William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth, his close friend.
Okay.
And they both together published another book which is called as a Lyrical Ballads. And it was published in the year of 1792. Sorry, 1798. Right. So, if you talk about Samuel Taylor Coleridge, was born in the year of 1772 to 1834. Right. And in the year of 1798, he and William Wordsworth means published another book. One of the books is known as a lyrical ballad. So, what this lyrical ballad is all about? Now, lyrical ballad is a collection that marked the beginning of a romantic era or the romantic era in English literature. So, if you talk about that S.T. Coleridge, so you would find out S.T. Coleridge role in romanticism. Now, when we talk about Coleridge, was a main figure in romantic movement, so that emphasized emotion. So, when you talk about romantic movement, we talk about emotion, we talk about nature, we talk about imagination, and we also talk about individualism, right? Emotion, nature, imagination, and individualism. So romantic poets wanted to explore what? The sublime. The sublime means that the beauty in nature and the depths of human emotion and experience.
Okay.
Human emotion and experience means first thing it's called as the poet inculcated or main figure of the in the romantic movement. So that emphasized nothing but emotion, nature, imagination, and individual, right? Second thing is called as when we talk about romantic poets. So these poets are, always looking for the beauty in nature and depths of human action and experience. So they try to understand why human beings do such kind of a action and what kind of a experience they do have, right? So that is why the poet S.T. Coleridge wrote this poem. Not only this poem, the poet also known for other famous poems, such as you can say Kubla Khan. You can also say Kubla Khan, another poem. You can also say Christabel, and you also talk about Frost at Midnight. His works are characterized by their use of what? Clear imagery or image, supernatural elements. Supernatural means something that you can't believe, and exploration of human mind, human mentality. So, if you talk about that philosophical and critical contribution of him, so Coleridge was not only but a poet, but also a philosopher and critic.
Okay.
His critical work, Biographia Literaria, so which was published in the year of 1817, so is one of his most important contribution, where he, articulates or he uses his language theories on literature, poetry, and criticism. You can say that he entered the nature of imagination and the role in poetic creation. So he distinguished between a primary and secondary imagination. Primary and secondary imagination.
Imagination, that also primary and secondary.
Yeah, so which one you give first importance, which you are giving second importance, right? So influence and legacy. So Coleridge's influence extend beyond poetry. So It means it's something like his philosophical ideas about the imagination and the role of the poet as a visionary have had a, long impact on English literature and criticism. And his exploration of the supernatural, the psychological, and the moral difficulties of human experience that remain influential, right? So it means, so he looks at nothing but the supernatural, psychology of the human being, and the moral difficulties that human being experience uh, because of the influence, right? So next is called as when we talk about personal means Samuel Taylor Coleridge's life. So we shall not forget that he also faces the personal struggles. Like Coleridge struggles with the health issues, uh, depression, and also you can say that he was addicted with opium or drugs, and throughout his life, which affects his productivity and personal relationship. So he unable to manage his professional life, and also his personal relationship affected a lot. Despite these challenges, his literary, output remained huge, and
Okay.
his work continues to be studied, and people liked also for the kind of the depth, originality, and inner views, right? All total, if I talk about that, the rhyme of the ancient mariner is a very suitable, and it encapsulates or called as it involves the or indicates the essence or the quality of the poem. A mysterious and full of warning story, which is you can say told by an aged or old age mariner that combines adventure, so that connected with the means excitement also. The super,
Okay.
not only you would find out adventure, supernatural, and moral reflection. So,
Okay.
what Samuel Taylor Coleridge, the poet, pointed here, he was a pivotal or very famous figure in the Romantic era, and whose contributions to poetry, criticism, and philosophy that have left an indelible means a kind of black ink that unable to remove from your skin for a long period of time. So that is why we call S.T. Coleridge, whose contribution to poetry, criticism to the poem, and a philosophical or philosophy means the knowledge he carries that have left nothing but a long spot marks on English literature. Right. Now,
Okay.
let's come to the poem. If I talk about the poem, the poem's Rime of the Ancient Mariner by Samuel Taylor Coleridge, right, is a, we know that narrative poem that tells the story of a sailor's adventurous journey. So his mistakes means the sailor's mistake too, and the consequences for that mistake he faces. So this poem is nothing but a mix of adventure, supernatural, and a moral lesson about respect for all living things. Now, if you talk about that each and every line, so you can say that the poem begins with what? The mariner stops a wedding guest. Now, when we talk about the poem begins with an ancient mariner who stops a man. Who is that man? The wedding guest. So,
Yes.
on his way to a wedding. So, where that wedding guest was going? The wedding guest was going to a wedding, and
Yeah,
the mariner with his glittering eye or smiling or excitement, so forces the guest to listen to his story despite the guest hesitation. The guest shows that he doesn't have any interest, but he means compels him to listen to his story. So compels whom? The guest.
the
Right.
guest was compelled.
Yeah, the guest was compelled, but the guest was reluctant also. The guest reluctant. So,
Yes, that why did I came here?
why did I come here?
Come here,
Uh,
sorry, sir.
uh, so the ship sets sail. So the story begins by stating that the mariner describes how his ship that begin sail from the or set sail for from the harbor, right? So enjoyed by the townspeople, they sailed smoothly until a powerful storm that struck and pushed them towards the icy waters of the South Pole. So the seepage is surrounded by what actually? The seepage is surrounded by mist and uh, floating iceberg, and you can say that creating the situation a bleak and threatful environment or threatening environment. So the albatross and the mariners crying, if you see that. So while the albatross was going, right? So in the midst of it, the ice and cold, right? The ice and cold. An
Yes.
albatross, a large seabird, you can say, that appears. So the crew sees the bird as a good omen. The crew sees what? The bird as a good omen. Good omen means what? What do you understand the meaning of a good omen? The meaning of good omen is called as a good sign, right?
Yes, sir.
So bad omen, good omen, right? So and it leads them out of the ice region. It leads them means out of
Out
the
of
ice
the
region.
three.
However, the
A bird,
mariner,
right?
yeah, albatross. So,
Yes.
however, the mariner for reasons unknown, but the mariner did not know why, right? Shoots the albatross with the crossbow. So, crossbow is called as nothing but a weapon in earlier time. So, it is used to the when those people who do any kind of a illegality. Now, when we talk about that, uh, you would find out that the mariner here, right? So, in the midst of the ice and cold, so find out an albatross. Now, what is that? Now, a large seabird that appears. The crew sees the bird as a good omen and it leads them out of the ice region. However, the mariner, for reasons unknown, shoot the albatross with its crossbow, and this act brings misfortune upon the ship and its crew. Next is called as if you have killed, now you need to get the punishment and suffering for it. After the mariner kills the albatross, so the wind stops and the ship is and the ship is stranded or halted in the middle of a calm sea. So the crew, it means the team of the sailor, suffers from thirst, right? Thirst means called as quest for water under the hot sun, and surprise supernatural event begins to occur. The sailors blame the mariner for their misery. Misery means called as a sadness, and hang the dead albatross around his neck as a symbol of his guilt. Now, what happened? The sailors killed the ancient mariner killed the albatross. Then why did he put around his, you can say that neck, around his neck, right?
So that's what I'm asking. Means why?
Yeah. So you would find out that the ancient mariner, right? If you see that, after the mariner kills the albatross, the winds stop. The ship is halted in the middle of a calm sea.
Yes.
The crew means other members of the crew, suffer from the thirst. Thirst means they search for water, whereas they are in the middle of the means ocean, but they search water under the hot sun. And they stranded supernatural events begin to occur. So they believe that what? Something like a supernatural events. The sailors here blame the ancient mariner. Why? No, because they believe, right? Uh, the mariners killing to the albatross bring the misery and you know difficulties or challenges to them. And that's why, so what they did, what the crew did, the crew hanged the dead albatross around the mariner's neck,
Hmm.
right? So when they hang around the mariner's neck, so it reflects as a symbol of his guilt. Guilt means what? He did something wrong and for which he was getting the punishment.
Sir, but I cannot understand that if the crew is in such a condition that they are is there, they don't have water, they don't have food, they are thirsty and they are almost going to die, then what is the means like means what is the value of making the person guilty by just hanging an
See,
albatross around?
see, you didn't understand. The poem stated that what? The bad situation came after killing the or after shutting that or after shooting that albatross. Right?
Yes.
So that's why what their belief is nothing but killing albatross begins the nothing but a bad omen or bad symbol or sign. And
Yes.
that is why means they believe why did the mariner killed the albatross?
Uh,
So that is why they blame. They consider that the mariner is guilt, right? So now after that, what happened? Now you would find out the poet also stated about meeting with the ghostly ship, right? So if you say that meeting with the ghostly ship, this indicates nothing but a ghostly ship appears on the horizon. So carrying death and life in death, who play a dice game. Dice, you understand? A small
yes, sir.
cube. Dice game.
Okay. Is this all mentioned in the poem or not?
No, no, no. These are the things which you need to feel or emotion means understand that, right?
Oh,
So
yeah, it was written that death was dancing on their heads.
yes. So a ghostly ship appears on the horizon, and it seems like that carries death and life in death and life in death. Who play a dice game? Who play a dice game? So that the death plays a dice game. So to decide the luck of the mariner and his crew. So
Yes.
death wins the lives of the crew. Death wins the lives of the crew means you understand. It took all the lives of the crew and they all died.
Huh?
So,
Then how the mariner is saying?
yeah, living means all die except a mariner, right?
Huh? Okay.
So, leaving the mariner alone on the ship. So, in
Yes.
that case, when you find out life in death wins the mariner, so condemning, so means mariner here repent, realize that means what? So he condemns him to a fate worse than death. So it means even if he is alive, but his life age means uh, very bad in situation, or called as a death would be better than the life, he believed. So living with his guilt and you can say watching the dead bodies of his crewmates around him. So you can say that realization and redemption also pointed here, realization. So the mariner here realized, isolated, he was alone, and he filled with, despair. The
Yes.
marine despair. The mariner undergoes a change of heart. He notices the beauty of the sea creatures around him, and you can say that, yes, and blesses them unknowingly. This act of a genuine or authentic appreciation for nature breaks his curse. Breaks his curse means what? He did the sin, he did the sin or bad thing, and he believes that what? Appreciating to the nature, right? So can save him from his guilt. And the albatross falls from his neck into the sea. It means he was now free from that guilt, free from the curse, right? So how do you find out that? Now you find out that means the beauty when he praises the beauty of the nature, right? So he feels like what? That the praising to the beauty or understanding the reality, right? And sea creatures around him is nothing but a blessing to him. And that's what is the authentic appreciation. So that uh, for which means nature breaks his curse and the albatross falls from its neck, right, into the
Okay,
sea.
means because the mariner started praising the nature, he understood the means the beauty of nature. That's why the curse was left from it.
Yeah, it's something like you can point out that when he realized, realization, no, what did I say?
Yes.
Realization. So when you realize that you did wrong, so and when you do not do that thing again, and when you praise to the nature, so that breaks your curse, right? So even you could also find out return home and spiritual mission. The mariners, you can say that the mariner is eventually or finally rescued. Rescued by whom? Rescued by a hermit. Hermit means a Rusi. And the pilot's boy. They
Yes.
help the mariner return to his homework or sorry homeland, right? However, the mariner is cursed. Cursed means that called as a he was cursed by somebody uh, to wander the earth and tell his story to people. So why did he take the wedding guest? Because he was cursed. What did he curse? He was cursed to wander the earth. Wander the earth means to move here and there, the what, and tell his story to people he meets as a form of penance for his sin of killing the albatross. It means it is his punishment that whatever he did, he would tell to the whole world, right? So, and that is his punishment, and he would get that punishment for the sin of killing the albatross. Now, in that case, if you talk about the moral lessons of this poem, The poem ends with what? Ends with the mariner imparting a lesson to the wedding guest. Imparting means providing a lesson to wedding guest. And what did he tell? He told to love and respect all of God's creation. So you must respect, you must love to everyone because everyone is the God's creation, both great and small, even if it's a small, even if it is a big, right? Both are nothing but God's gift. The wedding guest is deeply affected because he was surprised why he was taken, right? He also felt bad. So the wedding guest is, deeply affected by the mariner's story and also lives a sadder and wiser man, right? Now that's what is the ending you would find out. So this poem ends with a note that what? You should respect for nature. The poem teaches the importance of respecting all forms of life and the natural world. Second, guilt and redemption. The mariner's journey from guilt to redemption. Guilt means called as a finding a curse, finding curse, and repentance or realization, right? So reflect nothing but the end of wrongdoing and the possibility of spiritual renewal through penance. By getting the punishment, his you can say that his mistakes that he did changed to spiritual renewal, right, through repentance. So, then you would find out supernatural elements. The poem filled with nothing but a supernatural elements, supernatural occurrences that highlights the power of faith and the unknown. Overall, if you talk about that, the rhyme of the ancient mariner is a big poem that brings with adventure, brings with a moral teaching, and a sense of what? Sense of mystical, leaving, you can say that, leaving readers with a lasting impression. Lasting impression of what? Lasting impression of the consequences of one's actions. So, what you did, you will get the punishment for that. And the need of and the need for what? Respect and humility uh, in the face of nature, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we will go for the whole poem in the next class, line by line, and we'll understand the poetic devices, and we'll
Yes,
also under
okay, one thing which just struck to my head, that okay, the man was kept alive, and means the mariner was kept alive, and even though the albatross fell out of his neck, but he was given a curse. He was rescued by a hermit, but he was put on a curse that he will roam all around the world, and he will tell the story of what he did to everyone, to the world, right? But so, what was the fault of the crewmates of the mariner that they died? What they did?
see. mm, Let me give you an example, right? So when a driver drives the car, right? When a driver drives the car, so he takes 5 passengers
Yes, sir.
and he suddenly hit a man, right? While driving on the road, he suddenly hit a man or he made an accident.
Yes.
Now, what is the wrong of these 5 passengers who were in his car? That when the car hits an accident or met an accident, right? So obviously means the driver was saved, but all the 5 passengers have killed.
Huh? Okay. The car did an accident. The car was driven by a driver and there were 5 passengers sitting in it. The accident has already occurred. So the one whose fault, the driver's fault is there. He was driving.
But he was saved, right?
How was he saved? Yeah. He was saved. Means according to the poem, the driver was saved, but the passengers died. Why?
What is the reason of a passenger's death?
Yeah, the death came and played with them, and then they died. That's it. Why?
And the driver tells the same story that how he did an accident and he was saved to his family and to his friends.
Yeah.
You need to understand it, go deeper into it.
Oh,